Always vote for principle, though you may vote alone, and you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is the way forward for Sri Lanka. We have invited several candidates who will be contesting the upcoming general elections, which is scheduled to be held on the 14th of November, as well as political party activists. Joining us this evening on the show are Janaka Ratnayake, co-chairman, Colombo district leader from the Arulingam Janata Peramuna, Swasthika Arulingam from the People's Struggle Alliance. She's also a Colombo district candidate from that party. Johann Fernando, Sri Lanka Pojana Peramuna Youth Front. He's representing that organization, as well as Charitha Gunaratne, coordinator of the Youth Front of the United National Freedom Front. To pose questions from our panelists this evening, on to my immediate right is Newsfirst, consultant director at Newsfirst. On to my immediate left is Nadeem Majid. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send in your messages via WhatsApp is 076 656 5353. The number once again, 076 656 5353. Let's get the ball rolling today with Janaka Ratnayake, co-chairman, Colombo district leader from the Arulingam Janata Peramuna. Janaka, you were one of the first candidates who announced who would be contesting the elections, the presidential elections in Sri Lanka. The numbers you got, not even 2,500. Am I right?
It's 2,400 plus.
2,400 plus, not even 2,500.
Right.
Very
but
easy.
More than 2,000.
More than 2,000, not 2,500.
Yes.
But just to understand, now with a voter base of 2,500 across Sri Lanka, I believe you're going to contest from the Colombo district.
Yeah.
How sure are you that you would be able to win the hearts and minds of the people of the country and be elected to the parliament?
Now, if you look at the number game, and it is evident that by the results of the last presidential election, numbers, only numbers. In the sense, the people who got 400,000 got more than 5.6 million. And the people who got more than 6.9 million got less than 250,000. Therefore, the numbers are in election can change, vary. And although I got less than 2,500, as you said, going maybe, making it maybe over 250,000 is possible, because now, unlike before in elections, there are no permanent voter base to anyone. Now, it is very evident by the results of the last elections, the people are just, not looking at the parties and not looking at anything else, but, they are almost like working in concert. We do not know what is the behavior that we could call it, but it's happened so that although I got 2,500, for me to get 250,000 is not impossible.
From Colombo district, how much did you poll?
I haven't, analyzed the amount. It's too insignificant to analyze, 2,500 from where I got and things like that. Maybe around 500, I think 400 plus or something. So that number is only a number, but it can change, because now when you are in a presidential election, there will be only one winner. Now in this election in Colombo district, you are looking at 18 people, and 18 people with different caliber. And again, people are voting in general election and the presidential in two different ways. Now we have realized that, looking at the results of the last elections, the behavior of the voter is completely different. You can't just, predict it anymore. Now, unlike before, maybe 10 years back, you can predict that, certain parties will get, certain candidates will get, certain number of votes. But it has been changed so that, nobody can predict unless you just try and just, contest and see how much you will get. And with the work I have done for the people during the public career, I think that people should vote for a person like me, because if they have a person like me in the parliament, I think I can voice, for the people who cannot make their voices to get things done.
Janaka, we've heard the same music prior to the presidential election as well. You said the same thing. You came on the show, you said, when we asked whether you have a footing in Colombo, I asked you a question to be very precise. I said, what about the poster that you're hanging in Burella saying that you're announcing your candidature to become the next president of the country? And then you said, I have a good chance. You said it's not a numbers game because the people are going to vote for me because I have done so much for the people. You are saying the same thing now.
No, I'm trying to convince the people saying the same thing because unlike the other politicians, I don't want to change my story. I have the same story to say. And if I change the stories like the other politicians, I'll also become a politician like others. Now see, this time I have invitations from many other major parties that you
Are you not a politician?
I have become a reluctant politician. So I have now see. Let me just continue what I've been trying to say.
When did you start supporting the SLPP or the SLPP?
No. I had invitations from.
No, which year did you start supporting the Mahindra Rajapaksa?
2004, I think, when he ran for the premiership. 2004.
So you've been in politics for nearly
I've been supporting politicians. The president,
and you are invariably becoming a politician as well in that respect.
Yes.
So aren't you ashamed now that you are contesting from a different political party and there is very little chance that you will be elected to parliament?
No, you can't say that very little, the probability to become parliamentarian. I think the possibility is there because now see, if you look at the results of the last elections, you can't predict what voters will do. Now see, for the first time in Sri Lankan history, we have a president who did not get 50% the requirement, to become the president, but he got 42%. Democratically he's just appointed, and therefore I think these numbers that you talk about, 2,500 or 6.9 million, 5.6 million, or whatever it is, it's just a number. But I think the argument and the reply is the same, that I have been doing many things to the people while holding high positions. And therefore, I feel that if they want to have a person like me who will probably challenge anyone.
So very quickly, Janaka, in Sri Lanka, people are very forgetful. Do you agree?
I agree. That's why we are bankrupt. Now, I say.
I'm not. Let me ask you the follow-up question. So you say you agree.
Yes.
So people right now have forgotten the work that you've done for them in terms of you becoming the chairman of the Public Utilities Commission. And let's not forget that you were ousted from this position as well by the Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration at that time. So Janaka, why do you think people would vote you in? If
we need a strong person to represent themselves in the parliament. Now, they know that the role that I was playing with the PUCSL, I was against the entire government, the government, to do the justice to the people. So, if we need the justice, if you want to get things done for the people, I think they need a person like me, not a typical politician who will just, say lies, change their, words from one election to the other. I don't.
Right. So we'll grill you further as the show goes on momentarily. I now want to move my attention towards Swasthika Arulingam, attorney at law, Colombo district candidate from the People's Struggle Alliance. So, Swasthika, now I'm going to pose the same question to you that I posed to Janaka with regard to numbers. At the end of the day, numbers play a role, and it is in the mindset of the people. So the People's Struggle Alliance, which was led by Nwan Bopage at the last presidential election, you all were able to only get less than 12,000 votes. To win a seat in Colombo district, you need to at least get a minimum of 84,000 votes from the eligible voters polled. This is a big number. You all have only polled 12,000 across Sri Lanka. How difficult is the task at hand going to be?
The task is very difficult because electoral politics is not the same as all other politics we do. It's a completely different ball game. So the task is huge, but we have a plan, we have a campaign strategy, and we are hoping to reach as many people as possible, which we were not able to do enough during the presidential elections because we started 4 months ago before the elections. And there are various issues like resources and so on. And we were of course competing against candidates like Charitha, Nanuru and Ranil, who have been in politics for decades. So people already know them, so they had that advantage which we did not. So we face those challenges, but we are moving to the second phase of the parliamentary election. We have put really strong candidates who are known by the people, and we are hoping to do better than the presidential election.
Swasthika, Nuwan Bopage has been engaged in active politics for some time. If my memory serves right, he was a candidate at the 2019 parliamentary election, and he has been engaged with the Frontline Socialist Party for some time as well. So that does not make Nuwan Bopage's party or even the People's Struggle Alliance completely out of the political equation, does it?
The Frontline Socialist Party has been involved in parliamentary elections and presidential elections and so on, but we have never contested as the People's Struggle Alliance, because this is the first elections we are contesting as the presidential election was the first election we were contesting as the People's Struggle Alliance. And Nuwan Bopage, despite the fact that he stood for parliamentary elections and so on, he is not seen as a politician. He is seen as a lawyer. He is known as a lawyer who appeared for Arulingam cases and so on. But when it comes to presidential elections, there are various factors which play in. For instance, people see, for instance, during our campaigns, when we met people who would have supported us, they said, you all could have come earlier. We have already decided to vote for this candidate and so on. So people decide in various ways. Maybe people have already decided at that point. By the time we started, people have already decided we wanted change, and that change is going to be Anurakumara Dissanayaka. So I think it's a learning for us. I mean, 11,191 votes, it's a learning for us, and we want to take it forward in the parliamentary elections.
Swasthika, I posed this question to one of the individuals that were representing the People's Struggle Alliance recently, just prior to the presidential election as well. So I'm going to pose the same question to you. What is the People's Struggle Alliance? What do you all advocate? Where do you all see Sri Lanka in the next 5 years?
People's Struggle Alliance is a coalition of 3 left parties and a group of individual activists who were there with people's struggles and all along, but who emerged popularly during the Aragalia.
So let's break it down a little bit. So just tell me, what are these 3 political parties?
The 3 left parties are the Frontline Socialist Party, the Socialist People's Forum, which is my party, and then the New Democratic Marxist-Leninist Party. So these parties identify themselves as left parties, and they have been doing struggles and politics on the ground for decades. I mean, the New Democratic Marxist-Leninist Party has a long tradition of working on anti-caste issues and so on in the north and east of the country. So we formed this alliance, and the reason we formed this alliance, we felt that in this election, one of the decisive 2 issues or 3 issues in this election is, one is the economic issue. We needed to think outside the box to come out of the economic crisis. The national question, because the war is over, no one is talking about the national question. We think that if our country has to permanently come out of the crisis, we need to find a solution to the ethnic issue which is still raging in this country, I believe. And then of course our foreign policy, because we also saw the intrusion of countries like India very prominently in Sri Lanka, and we felt the mainstream parties were not taking up these issues strongly for reasons best known to them. So we thought someone had to say these things, someone has to talk about the IMF conditionalities and what it's doing to people of Sri Lanka, what it has done to the pension funds, the EPF funds, the debt restructuring which Ranil Wickremesinghe was agreeing on, and what it's going to do to people like us. The national question, the race issue which has happened, whether it be the war end, whether it be the Easter Sunday, and then of course the India and the Indian intrusion, and what it means to Sri Lanka when a country like India comes and takes over in terms of our politics and in terms of our cultural intrusion.
Swasthika, right now what is in the mindset of the general public is governance and economic governance as to how Sri Lanka is going to be steered in the next 5 years with the IMF and with regard to economic growth, all that and more. What do you want Sri Lanka to become? Because last time we had someone from your party in the show, they said they want Sri Lanka to be like Cuba, they want Sri Lanka to be like Kenya, they want Sri Lanka to be like Venezuela. So there itself, you're losing track on what Sri Lanka should be in the next few years. We don't want to be a Cuba, we don't want to be a Venezuela, nor do we want to be a Kenya.
I want to correct you there. I watched that interview carefully. I don't think the previous person who came in this show said that we wanted to be like Cuba. He was just attempting to answer the question with regards to Cuba, and the general perception as to why Cuba failed is not because of socialism. I think that's the question he wanted to answer. But we can't compare Sri Lanka to Cuba or to Venezuela or to Kenya. But one thing which we should think of is that the crisis which we are facing is not a domestic crisis alone. 53 other states are in a debt crisis, because we are also living in an international world where the debt issue is not a local issue. We just keep looking at ourselves internally. Of course we have internal problems. Of course we had corrupt politicians which we have to clean the house and sweep out, which the general public has done. But simply by sweeping the house, you know, that's not enough to get us out of this debt crisis. Look at the debt restructuring agreement which we are about to sign, which came under Ranil Wickremesinghe. That is not something which people wanted. That is something which the international bond, the sovereign bond holders and the IMF together pushed Sri Lanka into. And we are going in because we don't see any other route. So if we want to come out of this crisis, yes, we have to get our house in order inside. But we also have to...
Do you all believe that we should go with the IMF, yes or no?
No, we don't think we should go with the IMF, because, you know, in one of our campaign slogans was exit IMF. And the irony is that the IMF agreement is going to come to an end next year. And we are no closer to resolving the debt issue. And economists are, I mean, not the orthodox economists, but economists keep warning us that we will go into another default, even if we follow the IMF program to the dot. Then so why are we torturing ourselves?
So your political party is a far left political party, am I right?
We are not a far left political party. We appear far left because I think the right-wing politics have taken root in this country. We are a left.
You are a left.
Yes, we are left. We are not. There is nothing called far left. We are left.
Okay, you are left. So tell me, Swasthika.
Far left is if the other side is neoliberal, then of course we are far left.
So let's say, let's put it in perspective. Let's say we take what you're saying. You're saying your party is a left party. Tell me one country in the world that has done well being a left-centric party in governance. I don't want too many. Just
I will tell you one. No, we don't have to look very far. We don't have to look very far. We have a country which has literacy rate of 94%. We have a country which this year we have 0 maternal mortality rate, and that country is Sri Lanka. These statistics did not come out of following right-wing policies. These statistics came out of having free education and free health, which are socialist values and policies. Our country is called the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. If we had followed the constitution, if we had followed the directive principles of state policy chapter, which says that the goods of the economic growth of this country must be equitably distributed, we will not be in a state of this crisis.
But we know what has befallen Sri Lanka.
I will tell you.
I want to ask you.
I will tell you. I will tell you why that happened.
Overseas.
I will tell you why that happened.
No, don't tell me about Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Because I know that you are trying to champion this cause in the country. So let's not talk about Sri Lanka. Tell me one country in the world, because people are watching this show tonight and they would want to get some context. Tell me one country in the world which has done well with the policies that you all are advocating at present.
The Indian government, India under the Nehru government, they were advocating for socialist policies.
No, now at this very juncture, as we speak.
In this juncture, we have the reason. The reason in this juncture, the fact that there are so little countries who are following socialist policies is the reason why 53 states are in a state of crisis. Because we are not following socialist policies, because all these countries have been advocated neoliberal policies with the Reagan and Thatcher administrations.
We will get back to all this, Swasthika, momentarily as we go along. I now move my attention towards John Fernando from the SLPP Youth Front. John, just to understand, I'm going to pose the same question that I posed to Swasthika as well as Janaka. Your political party, which at one point polled 6.9 million votes at a presidential election and a general election thereafter, came down to not even 400,000 votes cast. Why? People have rejected the Rajapaksas?
Shamir, so first of all, thank you for having our party at this interview. Yes, we went into a presidential election. Our candidate that we were hoping for at the last minute, for whatever personal reason, he withdrew. So we had a 5-week period where Nama Rajapaksa came forward. He took up the challenge when no one else did. And within that short period, I mean, most of our party hierarchy had left us. Our grassroots level organizers were confused as to what to do. So within that 5-week period, with the campaign that we had, yes, we didn't get the result that we hoped for. but it's a learning experience for us. We see the people have spoken. They have given a mandate to the new president, very weak mandate, right? In our history, we haven't had a president who has not got 50%, so he's got 42%. The opposition parties combined have got 58% of the vote. So if you look at it in a democratic point of view, it's the will of the majority. So majority hasn't wanted this president to come in. But he has come in through our process. So we got 350,000, 342,000 odd votes. People have voted for us. So we will start from there.
Yeah.
We will
So,
rebuild the party.
yeah.
We'll look to the future.
John,
You
said-
can't say people have rejected us because...
John, you said
Yeah.
that it has been a learning curve for you all.
Yeah.
What have you all learned? Have you all learned the hard or the bitter pill that the people are rejecting the Rajapaksas yet again?
More than rejecting the Rajapaksas, what we see is people have wanted a change. That's why they have gone with our current president, AKD, Arulingam Disanayake. If you would want to look at it as rejecting Rajapaksas, that's, I mean, how you would look at it. But people
No,
have
that's not
voted.
the way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
That's the way that the people are looking at it.
How could you say that, Shamir? Like, how are you saying the people
So
have
from
rejected the
6.9 million votes that was given to Gotabaya Rajapaksa at the
Yeah.
general election
Yeah.
has come down to 342,000 votes.
Yes.
Doesn't that mean that the people don't want the Rajapaksas?
No, if the people didn't want the Rajapaksas,
Because
we have
you
got
said-
like
because
5-6 votes.
Yeah, but
If
because
we
you
have
because
340,000 people have voted for
yeah,
us.
because you said that this has been a learning.
It is
curve
a
for
learning
you all,
experience. It
and
is a
you all
learning
had a
experience.
candidate
Yeah.
that who was supposed to be fielded,
Yeah.
and he
Withdrew.
chickened out the last minute.
For personal reasons, he said.
personal reasons,
I don't know about
he-
chickening
he-
out. I mean, Shamir, that's what you're using.
No, no, I don't
but
know,
he said,
but I
he
don't
said
know.
he had a personal reason
All right, so
and
he had a
withdrew.
personal reason,
Yeah.
so he withdrew, and
Yes.
Namal Rajapaksa came to the
He
forefront.
took up the challenge when no one else could.
Right,
I
so-
mean, it was not
right.
an easy thing to do
Right.
for a young guy.
Yeah.
You know,
I
at
don't
his
know about
age,
that.
at his age, with
That's very subjective,
Yeah.
but still for all. My question is, isn't this the bitter pill that the SLPP needs to swallow right now? That people don't want these family politics coming to center stage now.
That's your opinion, Shamir.
That's not my
Like
opinion.
our
Again,
current
so
president,
I'm asking questions
just 4 years ago,
as a journalist.
had 3%. And he has got 42% now, right? So people vote. They will give you a vote now.
Right, so
They
I'll
might
ask
not
you-
give you a vote
Yeah,
later.
tell
So
me-
that's the
so
people's
John-
choice.
Yeah, John, tell
But
me.
they can
let's
decide.
put it into perspective. Tell me, why are we in this state today?
Why are we in what state?
In this state today.
What do you mean by this state?
This state, 42% to Anukumar
division.
Disanayake.
This
No,
division
not
or
this
what?
division. This bankruptcy state that we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about the IMF. We didn't talk about the IMF before. We are talking about the IMF now. We're talking about how divided Sri Lanka is in terms of appointing a president.
Yeah.
Why are we in this state?
The IMF, I mean, we have, how many times we've gone to the IMF? This is not the first time.
No,
our
why
country has
are we
gone
in
to the
this
IMF.
state? Why are we in this state? Isn't
Why are
it
we in this
because of
state?
this? Isn't it because of the Rajapaksas we are in this state?
How can you say it's because of the Rajapaksas? How can-
2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected. Wasn't he the president of the country? In my
Yes.
memory,
Yes.
if my memory serves
Yes.
right, he was the
Yes.
8th executive president of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka.
Yes, he was.
It was during his time that we were bankrupt as well.
It
if
was,
my memory
it
serves
was
right.
after his time that bankruptcy
so
was declared.
Two years after. So aren't we in this state because of a Rajapaksa?
I don't understand what state you're referring to. The country, I mean, we have had problems economically, right, for our history. It's not something new. If you look at our past, the only time we have actually got some development is the 2005-15 period under Mahinda Rajapaksa, where our 15 billion economy was grown to almost 85 billion, right? If we had continued on that trajectory, on those growth rates, by 2024, we would have been somewhere around 400 billion USD, right? But in 2014, there was a change that the people wanted, similar to this, right? Where the similar topics were brought up, right? And we saw what happened to the country after that. And from that, we haven't been able to recover yet.
2019,
Yeah.
was it the Rajapaksa who was in power or was it someone else?
I mean, you know who was in power,
Yeah,
there's no
so
one to
Gotabaya
hide.
Rajapaksa.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
2019, the anti-nationalistic rhetoric came to power, came to play. Then came the
Anti-nationalist.
security, anti-nationalistic rhetoric. I don't know whether you know, but that was the rhetoric that was there.
No, the country was in such a bad state. There were bombs going off, right? People wanted security. The national security was one of the main topics of that election. And they wanted Gotabaya Rajapaksa to come in. 6.9 million people voted for him. He had a very strong mandate. As he came into power, you saw what happened. Like within the first few months, he had to deal with COVID, right? And we went into crisis situation, right? And the resulting economic crisis happened after that. We knew that when we were closing the country, the economy is going to fall. We told that to people, right? A lot of people on social media were constantly asking to shut the country down. You can remember when then Gotabaya Rajapaksa, president at the time, said it's going to be hard for us, but because you're asking, we will close the country. And multiple times.
Did the people ask for a fertilizer ban also?
That is, that decision personally is a wrong decision, is what I feel. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's mandate was to bring in organic fertilizer in 10 years.
Yeah, but why are you
in 10 years to bring 5-6%. So he listened to someone, I don't know who? Right? And
did he listen to you, Nilesh? He didn't listen to me, or did he listen to you, Nadeep? Who did he listen to? Because at
you
that
have to
time,
ask him that.
Yeah, because at that time, everyone was saying that was a bad decision.
Even the whole party at the time told him to reverse that decision, but he didn't. So that he has to deal with the consequences of that.
But
you can ask.
I remember, but based on what I remember, Mahindanand Arulingam was in support of that decision.
So you can ask him why he did that.
So I mean, now the party has completely washed their hands.
We have not washed it. I'm just telling you the real situation, what was happening inside. We can't come out and tell no at the time. When our president is saying something as the governing party, we can't come and say something against him. We have to follow through, right?
There's no democracy.
But inside the party, this discussion was there. It was ongoing, and majority, I would say 99% of the party membership said to take this back, because our mandate was not for that. It was to bring it in 10 years, 5%. And overnight, he decided to do that. So that was a bad policy blunder on his part.
Do you admit that because of those blunders, we are in this state today?
That was one blunder.
Now don't ask me why are we in this state today.
No, I don't know what state you're talking about. Are you talking about the economy, or what are you talking about? The economic state, right?
The economic state.
Yeah, so the economy is very straightforward, right? If COVID didn't happen, and external shocks, right? The price of oil at the time, tourism earnings, foreign remittances, right? All of these things crashed. We lost our income, right? Then that was the main cause of it. If not, that didn't happen, we wouldn't have had this crisis. We would have been able to manage. We wouldn't have had shortage of essentials and things like that, right? So that is an external shock. That then how we manage that.
So we are in this state today because of the Rajapaksas.
That's what you're saying, Shamir.
No, I'm asking you.
You've been asking me that same question now 3-4 times.
So are we in this because you're saying? So you're saying that they carried out blunders. But then you're saying we want to be
we are talking about fertilizer, no? What has fertilizer got to do with the economy? What are you talking about?
There is nothing.
Yeah, so you're saying there's nothing, but you're saying that blunder clause, I don't understand what you're saying.
Do you know how much of revenue is being brought to the country through tea a year?
Okay, you're in the tea industry, no? So tell us.
So tell me, do you know?
You tell me, so why I don't bring all these figures like
US dollars. Yeah. Do you know how much the rubber industry brings to the country?
Yeah.
So when you put a fertilizer ban on rubber, which is not even an edible product, what is that policy?
Yeah.
What is that policy? Tell me. You have a fertilizer ban on rubber. Who eats rubber? So that's the problem that we are in right now. We'll ask you more questions, John, as we move forward. It's not just about fertilizer, John. Just to correct you, because we are here to grill and see what the best policy is.
It's easy for you to come and point and say we are in this situation because of the Rajapaksas. It's very easy, no? Right? So that's your point.
No, I'm not in any way saying. I'm saying these are what the people are saying. So we are just trying to ask you
to do with like mismanagement of the economy, the 2014 loss. I mean those factors I think don't factor into your argument.
No, we'll talk about that momentarily, John, as we go along. Charitha Gunaratne, representing the youth front of the United National Freedom Front. Charitha, you all have not fielded a candidate, nor are you all supporting any candidates at the upcoming general election as well. Am I right?
Hi, Shamir. Thank you for having me on the show. When you mean we have not fielded a candidate, what do you mean?
A presidential candidate you already not field.
We fielded a presidential candidate. We fielded a presidential candidate.
Okay. And his name was?
He was Professor Lalit De Silva, and he was a professor who has a good knowledge on the political system in the country,
Right.
and
So then I
he has
can
been a candidate
safely
before.
ask you this question that I asked Janaka, Swasthika and John as well. How much did your candidate poll at the last presidential election?
Well, considering the fact that the last presidential election,
Let's give a number so it's easier, and then I will ask you follow-up questions.
it was about 3,000 odd votes we got.
A little bit better than Janaka.
A tad better than Janaka.
Right.
But,
Okay.
But
so,
I'm proud to say that when that 3,000 votes we got, we at the time the candidate who was contesting for the presidential election, they had a limited budget, they had limited funding, and what they pushed forward mostly were their credentials and their good record.
Right. So Charitha, just to understand, now we are heading for a general election. Are you all going to contest alone, or are you going to contest as an alliance at the next election?
Shamir,
You have 2 more days to submit your nominations. A decision has been made immediately.
Shamir, for this election, we are going to field candidates in almost all the districts. But since we are also short of time, I think about 60 to 70% of the districts. That means about 18, maybe 15 to 18 districts. I think we will be able to field candidates.
So Charitha, people have not tested, tried. We know that Maitri, who's your part leader and also happens to be your father for full disclosure, was the governor under Maithripala Sirisena's regime. So we know him a little bit, not as a political buff, because he was attached to the UNP before and then he broke away, supported the SJB, then he formed his own political party, so on and so forth. Who are these candidates that we're talking about from your political party? Because even the presidential candidate that you spoke of did not hit the radar in terms of any social media at the last presidential election as well.
Answering your first question, Shamir, how our party was a breakaway from actually the United National Party, the UNP. So in maybe almost 10 years ago, in 2015, there was the UNP had there was a breakaway. There was a fraction for Sajid, there was a fraction for Ranil, and there was a fraction which was frustrated that the green thinking people in this country had no democracy within their party. Then what we did was our leader, Mr. Maitri Gunaratne, and there were many other prominent people even at that time. What they decided to do was they did not, go left, go right, they did not switch parties. What we decided was we decided to protect that UMP voter base, and we created a party which have the same, right thinking people. We have proper candidates, clean people, and we continued that green thinking line of thinking. So thereafter, now it is almost 5 years now after we have actually started our party, which we started in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe about almost close to 45 days before the local government election. And even within that 45 days, Shamir, we managed to field 21 candidates. And later on, I think we managed to bring the number of candidates who have joined with us.
Yeah, but my question is, Charitha, when you go for an election, like a preferential voting system, people need to know who your candidates are. So I want to know, who are these people who are contesting from the Colombo district, from your political party?
So, Shamir, do you know, if you vote for the NPP, which is, we've got an NPP president at the moment. Whatever said and done, being in the ground level, I feel the NPP will get at least a simple majority. And do you know who are the candidates the NPP will field for Colombo? People are voting for the NPP. Do you know who is actually going in
You're asking the wrong person, because I know all the 21 people who are contesting from the NPP.
Do you know the people? I mean, you may know all 21 people who have enlisted in the nominations, but it is all preferential votes. In our case, we have fielded, not an easy job to do, we have fielded 21 candidates from various professions, various walks of life. And we have given them the opportunity to go to the people.
Right. So Charitha, now the biggest question that's plaguing in the people's mindset is, we want to have professionals running the country. And this has been a thinking, like even when people like Swasthika are contesting, she's a lawyer by profession, people are looking at them because professionals are coming to the forefront. I want to know from your list, who are these professionals that we're talking about? We know that Maitri Gunaratne is the President's Counsel, he may be contesting from Colombo district. But keeping him aside, tell me who these professionals are, because I'm sure you all would have had 21 individuals named to contest the elections from Colombo district. So for us to understand and get full exposure, and may this be an opportunity for your party also. So just tell us who these 21 people are.
Well, if we talk about the Colombo list, Shamir, I think the Colombo list will be led by Mr. Maitri Gunaratne, the General Secretary and also the leader, practically the leader of our party. So Mr. Maitri Gunaratne will be, he's the President's Counsel, and
no, understood. There is no question about
main runner of our
I'm
party.
asking you the rest of the candidates.
Then we have got various candidates. I mean, for example, we have got Mr. Oshada Ratnavira. He's a businessman. He has served in the Colombo Municipal Council for almost 3 years. I have served in the Colombo Municipal Council from 2018 to I think 2020.
Just name two other people.
Other than the two I have mentioned before.
I'm just giving you 21. Just tell me 4 people.
Yeah, we have got lawyers, we have got doctors.
Who?
I mean, I don't know if I should be mentioning their names on TV without
them signing the nomination papers.
Them signing the nomination papers as yet.
Charitha,
so we have still kept it on hold till tomorrow morning.
Just to understand, Colombo district has predominantly been a green district at many elections. We've seen how Colombo district has been dominated by the Greens for a very, very long time, until the last presidential elections, where the Red Party dominated and they went on to win the Colombo district as well. What are the chances of your political party getting any traction at the next election?
Well, I mean, if you asked me this question, Shamir, maybe 5 years ago, I mean, I would have not been able to answer it. But if you look at the previous presidential election, who would have ever thought 5 or 10 years ago people would completely change their voting patterns? I mean, people were used to voting for the elephant. People were used to voting for the chair. People were used to voting for the bell. But all that has changed now. Now it is a
bell, no?
I'm sorry. I mean, they were not used to voting for the NPP. That means the compass. So, but now it has come to a situation where the voter has started to consider the candidate. I mean, they don't have that. They don't have that thinking pattern. Oh, we are going to only vote here. I mean, look at the people who voted for the NPP. I mean, NPP would have got 500,000 votes in the previous presidential election.
300,000.
Sorry, 300,000 votes. Now they have got over 5 million votes within a period of 5 years. So
why do you think that happened?
Because they are promoting transparency. They are promoting the fact that they want to put proper people into the proper positions. They are promoting to stop corruption. I mean, that itself is enough.
I started very quickly before I open the floor for questions from Nadeem and Niresh. Why do people talk about transparency so much? Why do people talk about corruption so much? Why?
Because Shamir,
has there been any leader who has taken us on that slippery slope for a long time?
I mean, Sri Lanka for the last 70 years has been on a slippery slope. That is the truth. Even at the moment, Sri Lanka is in a slippery slope. Just because President Annakumara...
Why are we talking about corruption, transparency, governance, things like that now?
We are talking
because of whom?
No, we are talking about that at this juncture. How did the NPP, why did people decide to vote for the NPP? Because people after the 2022 Aragalaya, people are sick and tired.
Why did we have to face an Aragalaya?
Because there was no fuel in the country, there was no gas in the country, the economy was bad, there was, there was no fertilizer, First of all, it was because of very, very bad decisions made by the leaders of the country. It was because, the president, the cabinet, and also the appointments which were made.
Are you saying referring to the 2015 cabinet, or are you referring to the 2019 cabinet?
2019 cabinet. I think the 2015 cabinet was not too bad, other than the mess up with the Easter Sunday bombing. That was the...
That's because you're saying that because your father was a governor at that
No. I'm not saying that because, my father was only governor for a month, for a period of 6 months. Other than that, he did not hold any executive position like that. He was not a cabinet minister, he was not a parliamentarian, so he did not hold a position like that. But I'm happy about that point up, Shamir, because for the 6 months, he has held position as a governor, an executive position.
Right.
He has proved himself within that 6 months as our party leader. So that itself is a winning wicket for us.
So I open the floor for questions from Niresh and Nadeem, but with your permission, I'm just going to ask one question, Niresh and Nadeem. Please pardon me. I'm just going to ask one question. John, Charitha directly points the finger at the 2019 cabinet and government with regard to the bankruptcy in the country. Do you want to respond to that? If you don't want to respond to that, we can move on to the questions from the panelists. But if you want to respond to that,
my question would be like, what is, he can't just point it at the cabinet and say the cabinet is responsible.
Charitha, you can respond to
that. How I want to start this is, Shamir, end of the day, how did this start with the fertilizer problem? This is, even when the question you posed to my dear friend Johann was, how did the crisis start? Sri Lanka is whatever said and done, it's an agricultural country.
Charit, can I stop you there, Mother? So, the IMF, has done a report on this, no? Why the country went into this economic debacle? Now, in that report, I don't know if you have read it, Shamir. Does it detail the Rajapaksas caused the economic debacle?
It doesn't mention the Rajapaksas, but the Supreme Court has the ruling.
But you're saying that.
No, Supreme Court is not me,
No, I'm saying, you're saying earlier the Rajapaksas,
I'm just responding to
I
your
went
question.
through that Supreme Court issue.
So
have you gone through it? Have you gone through it?
Yeah, I have gone
It's
through
a very comprehensive report. It has 256 pages, right?
It doesn't mention about the Rajapaksa family.
No, it doesn't mention about the Rajapaksa family.
It doesn't mention Mahinda Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa, Ajit Niwad Kabra.
So that's not the Rajapaksa family, no. That's the finance minister, the prime minister,
in
president.
that context.
Yeah, it's not a family, no.
That's
I agree with
Shamir,
you are hell bent on pinning this thing on a Rajapaksa family.
I'm not.
You're saying you're representing the people, whoever.
I'm telling you.
But do you think any politician who wants to be re-elected would willingly do this to a country? Do you think anyone who wants to get re-elected would do this? Willfully destroy a country? Do you think that?
That's an interesting point, actually.
No, can I just answer that question?
Yes, Swasthika.
I'll just answer that question.
I want to respond, but today is not my opportunity to respond. So I'm just going to take a step back and let the panelists respond. So Swasthika,
I think it's not about whether a politician would willfully destroy a country. But our politicians have been so arrogant that they think that they can do whatever they want and people won't do anything. No one expected the Aragalaya, right? Not a single politician expected the Aragalaya, but when the Aragalaya came, they were shivering and hiding inside the houses. And that is because they did not expect that people will uprise against corrupt politicians. So yes, no one wants to destroy the country. I won't say no one wants to destroy the country. They just think people would sit back and wait for the next election, which did not happen during Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time. Yes.
I think there's an answer to it in philosophy. If you look at Hanlon's razor, it says that you must not attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence. So on that note, Swasthika, I'd actually like to come to you. There has been a sort of a conversation in this country, at least amongst the political punditry, that the victory of the NPP signifies a shift towards the left wing, and that it has empowered defenders of civil rights and liberties, etc. But there's been an interesting development on the human rights front, where the resolution on Sri Lanka in Geneva was adopted without a vote today. And despite the expectations of several people, human rights defenders on the ground in Sri Lanka, the government was quite vocally opposed to that resolution. The cabinet has voiced strong opposition against it. This is a question that I would love to pose to several members of the NPP to ask them about their position on this, because I know the positions that they've had in the past. Do you think this sort of, because there was this attempt, let's say, to differentiate the JVP and the NPP, but it appears that there isn't really much of difference. Is that a fair assessment?
So two things, just wanted to answer two questions. I think Shamil, when he was talking about Colombo, he said Colombo moved from green to red. I want to correct that and say Colombo moved from green to purple, because I don't consider the NPP as a left coalition. And in fact, I think Anurakkumara Dissanayake throughout his election campaign tried to, you know, hide that socialist past as if it's a dirty past he has to hide away from. So we don't consider the NPP a left. But
what is the position? We know that because a section of the Janaka Sandhya, at least not the entirety of it, but at least a section is made up of a breakaway faction of the JVP, the FSP, right? And we know that while they were in the JVP, they also held strongly to these opinions that were, let's say, more nationalistic than socialist. What is the official position of the umbrella, the Janaka Sandhya, when it comes to the human rights situation in Sri Lanka, the national issue as people have called it?
So we have put it in our manifesto, and we speak about this in the north and the south. We don't say two different things. Is that we think a future can be built on justice and accountability, which also includes justice and accountability for war crimes, which was committed in the north in the last stages of the war, that is May 2009. So that has been our position. We have stated it very clearly in our manifesto.
Do the members of your coalition agree with this position?
Yes, we all three parties came together. We had long debates on it. We had very long debates on it, and after we came to an agreement, it's only after that we were able to publish it in the manifesto in both languages, in both Sinhala and Tamil, and take it to the...
Are you surprised that the NPP/JVP does not seem to have a concrete or a solid stance on this issue? Because there has been a fair amount of lip service. I was just reading through the ambassador, the representative is not a politician, but the comments that are made on behalf of the government. And in those comments as well, there does not seem to be a concrete plan in place. And we've asked this from members of the NPP before the election when they came here, and more often than not, the response we got was, we don't know.
There was no policy.
Right? They came out and they said they don't know what the policy is. And that's reflected even in the statements that the representative has made in Geneva. Are you surprised that you know some of these people who have been in there? They were involved, many of them were involved in the Argale as well. Are you surprised that their position seems to have either changed because of once coming into power?
So, if I may give a very concrete example, during the election campaigning, Anurakkumara, we always, when we speak about the national question, we speak about the 13th Amendment, right? Everyone wants to talk about the 13th Amendment. So, Anurakkumara Dissanayake first went to North and said, we are willing to do the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. Then 2-3 weeks into the election campaign, he once again went back to the North and said, I am not promising 13th Amendment, I want you to come and be the change which the South is also pushing for. Then recently, when Vijitha Herath was asked about the 13th Amendment, he said, no, we are not really thinking about the 13th Amendment, we are thinking about a new constitution, but he has not mentioned as to what the new constitution would mean to the minorities. So the issue is, they keep right throughout the election campaign, and in fact right throughout the history of the NPP, they seem to be shifting position from one to the other. They say one to the workers and one to the business class, one to the north, one to the south, and this has been an issue. If you claim to be a left party, you need to take a position based on certain economic indicators, certain social indicators on the ground, which the NPP has not done. if you are a left party, you can't change your stance according to elections. You need to have a position, which the NPP doesn't have. So that has been the critique.
Mr. Ratnayake, coming to you now, moving forward, you must excuse me, I didn't really have a chance to go through your policies in thorough detail. But moving forward, I know that throughout your time at the Public Utilities Commission and then previously at the Export Development Board, you've spoken about the need for an export-oriented economy, the need for energy independence, all of that. What is the plan for your party, the Arunalu Janata Peramuna? What is the plan to achieve that into the future? What's the dominant? Like Shamir was asking, like, what's your team? Is it a one-man show, or do you actually have a team of experts behind you?
It is not one-man show. Of course, the leader, I think you may know him. He also contested for the presidential election, who I think got around more than 15,000 votes. He's one doctor in medicine, he's a surgeon, one Krishantha. And this party has many professionals drawn from all three communities and professionals and entrepreneurs and businessmen as well. And I do not talk very complicated subjects. I talk only for people, and I do not agree with some of the views over here. Now see, nobody is trying to get the take the responsibility of bankruptcy. Now see, I put the blame and think there's a correction is happening. That's why this time, without many thoughts, the people voted, even with minority, there's a president now. So people wanted a change. We were talking about a change for last 76 years. It has happened now.
But has it been a change? Because if you just hear what Swasthika was just saying just a few minutes ago, it seems that the positions haven't really changed that much.
No,
like there hasn't been a systemic change.
The way that she thinks is different to my thinking. I think people wanted not a system change, a transformation. That's why, from the conventional politicians they shifted from conventional politicians to, this new president and their party.
But I mean, is it a shift away from conventional? Isn't Anukumar Dissanayake also a conventional politician? He's been in parliament.
No. I mean, he has been there for 24 years. I said my motto was to say that all this 225 plus the president should go out of politics, because these people are directly and indirectly are responsible for the position now we have. From 1940 surplus to 100 billion debt now. And we talk about IMF, somebody opposed and things like that, because people do not know economics and commerce and business will probably object to taking loans. Now, as a businessman, I know that, you need to balance your income and your borrowings and things like that. So if you are going to, extreme left or right, you can't. Now, that's why people wanted to change, and change has come now. We must.
Janaka, you said that you don't want to talk about complicated subjects. What do you mean by complicated subjects? Just shed some light.
No, like
is it like the 13th
Amendment
about, to the Constitution?
Now see, we talk about.
Is it like reconciliation that you don't want to talk about?
No, we have been talking about
the
subjects.
Is it the aspirations of the North and East people?
We ended our war in 2009. Now for last 15 years we have been talking about it. Many politicians. Now all these politicians, including the present president, has been in the parliament for last, in those years. Now people are talking about, those are very famous and popular subjects, but there won't be any solution. Now you talk about 13th Amendment, new constitution.
So you're saying that we should just ignore the problem?
No, you don't need to ignore. I think I'm of the view of that, we need a new constitution. The constitution is needed by the people. Now say
so you agree with the position of the JV or with the NPP?
No. I am of the view that there should be a new constitution where, with the public consultation, you draw up a constitution what people need.
So can I ask you, Mr. Ratnayake, if you look at previous constitutions, we know that, everyone has been asking for a new constitution for pretty much from 1979 onwards. People have been asking for a new constitution, right?
So many times.
So we've had 20 plus amendments also. Now, if you look at the previous, let's say the drafts that have come up, is there any previous draft that you agree with? There was the Chandrika, which GLP sent, Neil and
No, what
Tiruchar
happens is,
worked on.
do you know how do they make
Then
these
there
amendments
was-
and the constitutions?
No, afterwards there was the public consultations that happened under the Yapalne regime. Do you agree with any of the?
No,
There were
but-
reports that came from the consultative committees. They had consultations all around. So there's a lot of work that has been done already. Do you?
But
is there
outcome-
anything in that you agree with, or you want a new constitution?
No, I
that
think we
you
need a
put
completely
together?
new constitution where the true public consultation, that you draw up a constitution what people needs. Now see,
So what was wrong with the previous consultations?
No. You may now see, I have very lot of experience in public consultation, because the way that we work at PCSL,
Yeah.
every decision is made on public consultation, even minor decisions. But we take we make the advices of the people. But what happens is you have these consultations and you have many things, but they do not consider anything. Now see, when there was a little
Can you give us an example,
when there was a
Mr.
little problem, remember the previous president said that it's a mistake of a lawyer who did it. Now although there's a process and consultation, they don't take anything into notice. And end of the day, one or two lawyers will get into a room and the ruler will say, this is what I want, and they do it. And just to tell, but you tell the people that
just to understand,
Yeah.
Janaka, just to understand. Now, with regard to the Tamil question, now you say the war has ended 15 years
Yeah.
ago and we keep on talking about
Yeah.
it. Are you suggesting in any way that we shouldn't talk about it?
No, we should talk about it. Now, if the people say, and you go for a referendum and ask, even if you want to separate, give it. What's the problem? This is what people want. I am very open in the sense, like, say, now say you have a referendum for a constitution, and that constitution has you separate the country maybe into separate this thing, or give maybe 13 plus or whatever it is. If the people don't, give it. What's the problem? Why? Who do you want to give it?
Why do I get the feeling, Janaka, you're just trying
So
to...
when you say referendum, you're saying a referendum of the whole country.
Get votes.
No, I am not trying to get votes.
and
You know
nothing
my
else.
style. Even with the president or the cabinet or who it is, if I do not like it, if it is not benefiting the people, I'm opposing. And you know that I lost even my job. And this is the first time in the history of Sri Lanka that they got...
So before finding,
122
let's say before going for a referendum, you have to find a solution to the problem.
Yes.
What
I
is
do
the
public
solution?
consultation.
No. What is the solution you have for the now? If you are campaigning in the north and east,
Yeah.
people would want to know what is the solution that you are going to provide to them with regard to the people who have disappeared, people who's unaccounted for, people who need reconciliation, people who have scars left behind by the conflict. What is the resolution you have for them?
The resolution would be, now see, I do not agree, but there's a ethnic issue in this country.
Then
Now,
what
there's a
are we
difference.
fighting for?
No, I'm
Sri
talking about
Lanka?
only the people who has and who do not have. Now, there are only two categories according to my definition
No,
of...
Janaka,
Yes.
let's not go circles. Let's just tell me what is if you don't have a solution, it's okay. Because we've had NPP members who have come on the show and said, when we asked about this question about North and East, they said they have not been communicated anything in respect of the UNHR's resolution or whatever. So we respect that.
Yeah.
So if you don't have an answer, you don't have to
No,
go
I have a very
circles.
concrete answer.
Yeah, what is the
If the
answer?
people of this country want to separate or give maybe 13 plus or whatever it is up to the people. And if they want, you need to give it.
Can I
So-
ask
so-
you
so
a
you know-
question?
so you
Can I
know-
ask
so
you
you
very,
know-
like,
Yeah.
you know the GL
Yeah.
Neelan package that was proposed in the draft constitution in 2000 under Swasthika, which the UNP proceeded to burn in parliament. A lot of work went into that. Two legal luminaries, Professor G.
Because
Pires
that
and
is where the
Ms.
problem
Neelan.
is. Now
So
see,
no,
who
wait,
was the
let me ask.
legal luminaries or the people?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Right. When you go through what they proposed, is there anything there that you disagree with?
No, I'm not very familiar with that.
Okay.
No, but
If you enlighten me, I can probably answer in one or
But
two
Janaka,
specific-
but
yes.
you know, if you go for a referendum,
Yes.
the northeast general public is a very fraction of the
That is obvious.
others.
You can
So
say it.
obviously,
Yeah.
whatever you propose will be rejected.
Yes. So therefore,
then
that
that
they will
means
not get it.
then,
You got my answer. You want to give
So-
what public wants.
so
Now,
then
if
the
they are so
aspirations.
divided, how
so
can you
then,
give
then,
this?
then the problems of the Tamil people will never be
No,
solved.
there's no problem because that's why they are so divided. Let them unite.
So
And-
let the people decide. No, let the people.
Can I
Decide. So
come?
John,
Yeah.
just to understand now, let's talk about Namal Rajapaksa. Is he going to be your prime ministerial candidate?
So before answering that, I think I had to respond to the earlier thing. I think Swasthika said that the people rose up against corrupt politicians, and she said that's the face of the Aragale. She said that we were shivering and hiding in our houses. And then Nadim, you said something about incompetence. So, I mean, we saw the Aragale and the golf phase. I mean, it went on for a few months. March, April, May. Until May 9th, we were running the country. We were running the country. We were not hiding anywhere. Our SLPP Youth Front, actually, we went to the golf phase Aragale. We discussed with them. We spoke to them. We saw what they were saying. But we were running the country. But May 9th, those things changed. When one of our MPs was brutally murdered on the street, our businesses, our houses were burnt, we were attacked, right? We were undemocratically taken away from power.
What led to that on the 9th of May, whatever happened in the country, it was very traumatic, it was very tragic. In no way do we condone that burning of houses or killing individuals.
So what I'm trying to say is after that we were, we put our heads down and we were
on the 9th of May, on the 9th of May, what caused it?
There's a case going on now, if the truth will come out.
No, but we have to look at that also, no?
According to you, what caused it?
No, if I was in your seat, John, I would respond, but I'm asking you, in your belief, what led to that? Now, you're talking about whatever preceded after the 9th of May, that evening. But what do you think happened in the morning hours?
Morning hours, so there was a clash that happened, right?
Clash that happened. So, Swasthika, now you were there actively engaged in that movement at that time. What do you think happened? Because we don't want to revisit what happened, because that's not the intention of the show tonight. But because of the fact that you all are mentioning about the Aragale, I thought we'll give you an opportunity to speak about it as well, just on this round only, very strictly. Very quickly, do you want to respond to that? But if you don't want to respond to that, I totally understand. We'll move to another question. But
no, I want to respond to that and say what happened on May 9th. A Prime Minister who thought he was entitled to the country resigned, and because he was made forced to resign by the people of this country, by an Aragale, he decided to unleash violence on a democratic people's struggle. So Galle phase was containing the harsh realities of this country through a people's struggle, and the Prime Minister decided to bring thugs and attack. What happened soon after was that people around Galle phase, ordinary people, working people around Galle phase, came there to support the protesters who were on the ground. So we should not try and reverse history or change history or bring about a false narrative and say people suddenly became violent and burnt houses. There was a people's struggle, it was a peaceful struggle, and the Prime Minister who just gave his resignation thought he was entitled to commit violence on people, and people did not tolerate.
John, do you
want to answer to that? So Swasthika is saying that we bought thugs. We had a meeting that day at Temple Trees. Our supporters came. They've asked him, we have voted for you. We have mandated you. 6.9 million voters have mandated for you. Don't resign, right? There were, from our villages, old ladies, uncles, right? Young people, right? And I don't know how Swasthika can see them as thugs. They were just innocent people. You saw how they were beaten up and thrown in the Bere Lake. They were not thugs, they were innocent people. But yes, certain forces created that clash.
Right, so, but those people were also beating up priests and people who were sitting outside temple trees. Then they marched down.
Yeah, that's
and afterwards they were thrown into the Bere Lake.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right? I wouldn't say that. I won't say those women and children were beating up.
There was a boy in a
No, I can show you. I can show you video evidence, like social media posts.
Go through that video evidence. You'll see people grabbing sticks,
John,
right, and coming and attacking.
John,
this
is not
going on.
I can see the people marching.
Nothing.
Right?
John,
this show is not about
May 9, 2022.
No, if I'm getting attacked, Shamir, I have to have,
of course. So, but again, I said before, I give you
say that the Prime Minister brought thugs and unleashed violence.
No, so
stand by
you can
the
respond.
comment.
No, you can
Stand by the
respond.
comment.
But you can
National
respond. No,
TV,
you can respond. No, you can respond. But at the end of the day, let the people decide. Let's give them also an opportunity. Yeah, absolutely. So that's no problem. No, John. Let's move forward.
Saying that the Prime Minister brought people.
Right. Let's move forward from this point on. So you made your point. Swasthika made a point. So that's okay. Fine. Let's leave this. Let's park this subject for the moment.
You can't have a Protestant,
Right. Okay. Let's
chase off a
okay. No problem. Right. So understood. But let's keep this aside for the moment. Talking about the question that I asked you, who is your Prime Ministerial candidate?
We haven't nominated a Prime Ministerial candidate
as such. Yes.
As such, Shamir.
So there are discussions with the Dinesh Gunaratne faction as well. That was said in the media and is reported in the grapevine as well. Is there any truth to this?
Not that I'm aware of.
There is also discussions about the salon door of the very famous Mahinda Rajapaksa slogan. The salon door is open, and then we saw how Namal Rajapaksa went on to say, the salon door, I am closing it down. I don't want anyone coming into the party. Have you opened it again?
No, we haven't opened it.
It's closed?
Yes. If you look at our nominations list, you'll see.
Has it been finalized?
It's very clear.
No, has it been finalized?
On the 11th, you will see it.
Okay. But no one from the SLPP who left.
If I may,
as far as I'm aware.
So anyone who left from the SLPP are not there in the list?
As far as I'm aware, no.
Have they spoken to you all about rejoining the political party?
Everyone has to come back.
Like who?
Multiple people, I can't name names here.
Said everyone.
So Johann, if I may, you have no intention of contesting at this parliamentary election.
No.
So I think it's interesting you say that, because the SLPP, several members have been, I think there's disciplinary inquiries are starting to remove them from the party, or they've been removed from the party. I'm not sure where the process is. But let's say that there is opportunity for new younger members to come up. And one of the things, even in Namal Rajapaksa's campaign that he was talking about as well, is that it's going to be a youth-led, youth-driven movement. Being a prominent member of the SLPP Youth Front, I'm surprised that you haven't decided to contest as well, because you did say that earlier that, people wanted a change, and that's why they voted the way that they voted. And Swasthika, Janaka and even Charitha agree that that change is that they want to see new faces, new people coming up. Why is it then that you decided not to contest?
So we will see in our nomination list a lot of educated, young, right, females, males, right, then businessmen, lawyers, doctors, a lot of new faces in our nominations list. I have opportunities. I'm not saying I don't. If I want to do, I could. It's a personal decision. So, right? If people ask me to come and contest, I will contest. Right. In 2014, they asked me to come and contest.
But this time they didn't ask you.
I got 135,000 votes.
But this time they didn't ask you. This time they didn't ask you, John.
People have been asking.
Right. So, John, just to understand now, when you say about some names in certain districts, they take a lot of clout. Example, let's take a look at Colombo district for example. When we speak about Central Colombo, the name that is very prominent is the Premadasa name. When we speak about the Hambantota district, the name that is prominent is the Rajapaksa name. When we speak about Kurunagal district that you're hailing from, it's the Johnston Fernando name that comes into play, and even Mahinda Rajapaksa who contested later, Dayasiri Jayasekar, you all have a bit of a cloud. What happened at the last presidential election in Kurunagala?
What do you mean? I don't understand your question.
In terms of Namal Rajapaksa polling a considerable...
We spoke about that at the start, Shamir. We had a 5-week long short campaign. We had a new candidate who came in. He took up the challenge. Right? And
so that was the reason.
Period of time.
That was the reason.
That's the result that we have got. That's what the people have decided. We can't dictate.
So is it your contention that in this election on November 14th, it would be a completely different scenario, because you all do have this time to prepare, and you all do have the candidates and a proper campaign.
People have to decide what they want to do. We can't dictate to people, right? This thing of the whole vote base and everything has been thrown out, right? What we are noticing now is this like populist floater vote that's floating all over the place, right? So people.
But isn't that a good thing?
It's a change.
Because
I think it's a good thing.
For me,
instead of people being born green or red or blue.
Personally, for it to be a good thing, it has to be a strong government that comes in. A strong president, a strong parliament. 5 years, 10 years, stable government. That would be a good thing for me. Right now, what I'm seeing is instability, division, right? A minority mandated president.
Right.
If the opposition alliance all comes together, they might take the prime minister post. The whole country might go into chaos.
So, John,
that's what I'm seeing right now, which I'm very worried about.
John,
Stable government.
Nimal Lansa, after signing his nomination papers at Inner Flower Road, the office of Ranil Wickremesinghe, said that they don't want government. They want to be in the opposition. What is the position of the SLPP?
SLPP, we are contesting with new candidates.
No, do you all want to be in government, or you all want to be in the opposition, like the Ranil Wickremesinghe symbol of the gas cylinder?
The opposition might be the government. 58% might vote. They might form the government, right? NPP might be the opposition with their presidential candidate. If you look at the results, you never know what could happen. People have to decide what they want to do.
Right. So, Charitha, getting back into, do you want to respond to any of the speakers, or I'll give you an opportunity and then
I do.
Question to you. Yeah.
First of all, I want to start with the Aragale. With
Charitha,
you don't want me to go there.
I would want you to go there, but I will only give you 1 minute. But the other speakers can't respond to that. Okay, we are going to leave that.
That's not fair.
If they get attacked,
Other don't say.
I will
Right, okay.
let that
Leave that aside.
So,
Okay.
I mean, looking at, the main purpose of our party, the UNFF, we were earlier known as the Kehelavariya, the comb of bananas, but now we have changed our symbol to the spectacle. Our main point to why we are facing this election this time is to stop anyone. I'm not directing it to the NPP, I'm not directing it to the gas cylinder, I'm not directing it to the SJB, to stop anyone from getting a 2/3 majority in this country again. Because once people start going for a 2/3 majority, what's going to happen is they get absolute power. And absolute power causes absolute corruption and absolute chaos. So, we are not against the NPP. Get that clear. We do not come and expect to, adopt a government here. But what we are willing to do is, if the NPP or if the governing party, if there is corruption or if they are going the wrong way, we are going to speak out aloud against it. If they are doing something good, we are going to not only lift one hand, we are going to lift both our hands for it. We as a minority party, minority in the sense as a small party, we want to only ensure that the country is being directed in the right path. Now, for example, if had we had representation in Parliament, and if there was something like a fertilizer ban, that completely scuttled the entire economy of this country. That is what I believe in. There was a ripple effect from, no one talks about the farmer, no one talks about how the people who work on a daily basis in order to, keep this economy going in this country. And we are, as a party, I don't think, if we get 1 seat per district, and if we contest in 22 districts, we have got 22 people in Parliament. That's an ideal situation.
So you have 291 people to sign nomination papers from your party?
Sorry?
So if you're contesting the entire country at the next election, you have to have 291 people contesting
as candidates in our party.
So do you all have 291 people contesting from a political party?
Well, we are finalizing the list, Shamir.
So then you say 291, you say one person from each district. So then that's a bit of a
But I'm talking about the best case situation here. We are talking about the best case. If we manage to finalize our nominations and if we manage to hand it over in all the districts, then we get...
Why do I get the feeling, Charitha, you are trying to slant towards the NPP, so you will get their vote also?
Well,
because today we heard Vasudeva Nanayakara saying, willingly or unwillingly, that he's supporting the NPP. That he's coming out of Dirit Jaivira's party and supporting NPP. I don't know whether it was willing or unwilling, but I get the same feeling from you also. It's like they don't want you, but you are forcing yourself into the equation, so you will at least get a little bit of votes at the end of the day. But that's bad, no?
I won't say that, Shamir.
Then what is
our party? Why do you think we have a difficulty in finalizing our nominations? Because
there is no one. If you ask me that question, I don't want to be in a position to ask this question. Probably because you don't have people to field. Because it's a new political party.
More than it being a new political party, we thoroughly vet the people who we nominate and we give nominations to. That is number one. And the second thing is, given the political situation, people are also.
Now, why do I get the feeling that you are trying to lean towards the NPP without their knowledge or without their consent, just to get the trickle down effect in terms of your voter base?
Well, I mean, I don't expect that. I don't expect people. I don't expect to.
Do you agree with the NPP policies? First, tell me that.
I do not agree with some of the leftist socialist policies, Shamir.
But now Swasthika said they are not socialist, leftist socialist.
I mean, if that is the case, and if they are going to live with the current times, and if they are going to at least stop the corruption in this country. I mean, what I have made up my mind.
I saw this article on papers and social media, Charitha. It said in Sinhala, corruption, dooshane kannada, you know, because at the end of the day, you have to have economic governance in the country. There needs to be governance, there needs to be good governance, there needs to be anti-corruption policies. That rhetorical alone won't take you to the next level to develop the country. As Swasthika said, we may get into bankruptcy again in 2028 if we only bank on anti-corruption rhetoric and not develop the country, because we saw how the NPP came into power. When they were coming into power, they said that they will bring down the fuel prices by 100 rupees. 150. Did that 150 rupees? Did that happen? It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
So they were talking about family rule and saying the Rajapaksas were wrong and all that. That was a rhetoric that was going on. But now if you see, Colombo district is contested by the son, Kadutara district is contested by the father. Then you have the Mathura district contested by the husband. You have the Colombo district contested by the wife.
Right.
So there is a problem. No? Everyone is taking a circle, Charitha. No, this is not fair.
No, that is true. But what we have to do now in the current situation, Shamir, but we as a country, we have to start somewhere, no? We have to start somewhere.
So are you in agreement with NPP policies?
I am in agreement with any policy which would take this country, okay, from a very poor situation where we were in. For example, you take the country in 2022, when how President Ranil got the country, for an example. I mean, that was the worst predicament a president could have got the country in the last 70 years. I think everyone around this table will agree with that. I mean, we didn't have fuel, we didn't have gas, we didn't have medicine. People were on the roads, people were up in arms. Never in the history of this country there were presidents ousted. Ministers' houses burned, politicians' houses burned. I am completely against that. I don't agree with that. But we've never had that. But
so are you saying Ranil Singh is right?
No. What I'm saying, whatever said and done, he brought the country economically in whatever way. He brought the country back to some kind of stability. By bringing that country to that kind of stability, Shamir, the country, it was on its knees. The country got a lifeline to get up again.
Swasthika, do you agree with this term stability?
I don't agree.
When the number of people below the poverty line is now something around
I don't agree with your analysis, because one of the main reasons I don't agree with your analysis is that one of the reasons why the country came into a state of crisis is because of politicians like Ranil Wickremesinghe. So after the Aragalaya finished, we looked to the parliament, there was no one there. Ranil Wickremesinghe became the parliament. There was a lot of various things happened inside parliament, which I don't want to. But anyway, he became president, and then he went to the IMF. I mean, we did not even explore alternative options. Like, people were not even told, is there any other options? No, IMF, we go in, we agree to all the conditions of the IMF, and now the IMF is going to leave next year, and we are no closer to resolving the debt issue. So what we had was a facade, or what I won't say facade, we had a smoke screen, or we thought we were in a state of
like
stability.
A lifeline?
No, not lifeline. We thought we were in a state of normalcy and so on, fuel came and so on. People are saying we are going to go into another crisis, we are going to go into another default. So does that mean the stability now counts for that default? I mean, many years ago we had stability as well. My friend here said we had an economic boom at one point. How did we have that economic boom? By going to the international sovereign bond markets. And then in 2022, we are in a state of default, and people are dying because there are no medicines. So I think what Ranil Wickremesinghe did was he gave this image, this kind of, what's the word for it? He made us believe that there was stability, while all the numbers and all the indicators suggest that we were going into another crisis. When people were dying in the hospitals, when people were not even eating one meal per day, Ranil Wickremesinghe was telling us there was stability, and we were willing to believe that.
So, when we do
I don't believe there was I don't think there was
bring
stability.
back the life. I think we are probably wasting a lot of time talking about many issues that we encountered for 76 years. What we need to do is that we had a economic crisis, now we have a political turmoil as well. I think we should move forward without, wasting time, like say talking about what happened during Gotabe's time and before that debt crisis and things like that. What I say is that 76 years...
You supported Gotabe Rajapaksa?
But
I supported all the presidents since 2005.
But Mr. Atai, when you say
one time Sirasena, one time Gotabe, this time I was supporting myself. Now there is a change that, nothing to laugh because I feel, although you have a elected president, they have no plans. Now you look at, 2 weeks of governance. You look at what has happened within the last 2 weeks. You look at the appointments. You talk about, you have a post-mortem of, Aragalaya, and before that, all those things. These are, I think, the waste of time. What we need to do is, people have started having a change, a system transformation. We need to have a stable government. Although I am not a favorite of NPP or JVP, I was a JVP member during my when I was an undergraduate. I was in prison as well, supporting them, leave everything apart. But I feel we need to move forward, we need to have a stable government. Therefore, NPP should secure more than 113 because we need to have a stable government. Now,
sorry, Janaka, just for me to understand.
Yeah.
Are you contesting the election?
I am contesting the election, but
you are saying
Sri Lanka should have a stable government. Without stable government, now suppose you take...
why can't that 113 be from the SLPP or the SJB or any other political party? Why should it be the NPP?
No, it will have I think that there's a political turmoil.
So why should it be the NPP? That's
now say stable government is in Sri Lanka. Now see, we are talking about coalition government. And when you can't even keep a two-third government in power, when they are ousted, what I talk about coalition government in Sri Lanka? It will not last even for 2 weeks. That's why President dissolved the parliament without having even one public sitting in the parliament. And he knows that these people will impeach him. So therefore, people have changed. They have come to a transformation. I think you need to support, although I am not a JVP or NPP supporter. I don't like them. I don't like their policies. Their policies will not work. But we need to give them a chance. Give them 130 and give the others a good opposition.
This is even dangerous right? Because you're saying their policies won't work, they won't work.
Yes.
However, give them 130.
You need to prove that they are not.
If that is the case, there has to be a hung parliament.
So you want to give them 130 to prove that it won't work?
No. What I'm trying to say is that now see, supposing that they get maybe 113, 110 or whatever it is. Who is going to form a party? And in this country with this divisions, you think that even you can get few people to join them? No.
So if they have 110 and if your party has 3, would you join them?
I will definitely join them. And to make...
So then stability, no problem.
What stability?
Then there is stability, no problem.
No, there should
No,
be
but there is a
stability.
problem, because Janaka doesn't like their policies.
Now,
Okay.
no.
There is a problem.
Now see, now what has happened in India?
But if they give you ministerial post, you might take
now
it,
see,
no?
what has happened in India? Now 2 times, Modi got more than he wants. Now, it's a coalition government. He can't do the way that he wants now. Now others will come and, do the check and balances. You need now see coalition.
Isn't that what is important for a country like Sri Lanka?
We need a stable government. They should have at least simple majority. And people should vote for them at least to get simple majority, because we need a stable government, because we are in a crisis situation. Right. Unlike any other country, countries bankrupt. To come out from this, you need to have a stable government. Although you don't like IMF, you have no choice out now. Yeah. If someone says that we don't like IMF, is something, one of the stupid ideas that we are talking about. Because they do not know how to run economies. Now people have many theories, You talk about lefties, right? Many things.
That you have to now. You don't have to look at me, Janaka, to ask.
I'm looking at everyone.
No, you have to look at people. You have to look
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at people. I'm trying to give them a message.
You look at your left and say about the IMF allegation.
I completely disagree with you.
Swasthika.
She may disagree.
I just want to.
I am a businessman who knows to take loans and pay them. Now see, without loans, if you talk about leftist ideas and Cuba and Venezuela, those are rubbish things.
I did not say that.
We need to develop the economy. We need at least 7 to 8% GDP growth.
Right. Okay.
Otherwise, what happens is we will perish.
Swasthika, I'll come back to you, but I don't want to. Yeah, sure. You can clarify. I'll give you an opportunity. Don't worry. But I just don't want to take the limelight off Charitha, because Charitha was talking about Ranil Wickremesinghe. So does that mean, Charitha, that Ranil Wickremesinghe's policies, you all are aligned with that?
No.
Because you say that 2022 we were in fuel queues, there were no medicine, there was electricity disconnections, all that. But so are you saying that Ranil Wickremesinghe policies, you all are aligned towards that?
No, what I'm trying to tell you is, Shamir, as an entrepreneur in this country, and as a person who, I know a lot of people who are into business and especially tourism. I'm going to use the example of tourism. Okay.
Charitha, I know all this because we've spoken about this over and over again. I'm just asking a very simple question. Are you saying Ranil Wickremesinghe's policy all are aligned towards it?
I'm not saying we are aligned towards Ranil Wickremesinghe's policy.
Then what
I'm saying is, we were in a very bad situation, okay, with the right leadership. At the further time, we managed to come out of that rut.
How old are you, Charitha? Just
I'm 29.
29 years old. You would have been around 15 years old when your father left the UNP. That was in 2010.
He was not. We never left the UNP. Yeah. He was refused to be given nominations, and he was removed from the UNP.
So he alongside with Shiral Laktilaka were amongst the initial individuals in 2010 who revolted against the Ranil Wickremesinghe administration.
That's correct.
I'm surprised that you are sitting here today and saying this leadership was right.
Well, Shamir,
because that was not the sentiments of the Maitri Gunaratne that I knew in 2010, who said that Ranil Wickremesinghe was right. They wanted him removed, and as a result of that was why he supported the candidature of the Yahapalne government, including Maithripala Sirisena. And then 2019 he supported the candidature of SJB leader Sajid Premadasa, and then he put up his own party and started contesting and started talking about his ideologies later on. But to get to the bottom of this, I am surprised. Are you not?
Well, I am not. Okay. Because, first of all...
Because there are no enemies and friends in politics? Is that why you're saying that?
Not entirely. In 2010, why we had to stand against Ranil Wickremesinghe was, given, I'm pretty sure you remember those times better than I do, but Ranil Wickremesinghe at that point, he was not marketable with the grassroots level of the UNP. That is the truth. And at that time, in 2010, Mahinda Rajapaksa was very powerful. After the war, he got practically 2/3 in parliament. And at that time, we needed a very, very strong opposition who can actually, with a leader you can market in the village. So what we did was we brought the thoughts of the village into the national thing to talk about nationally. So at that time it was Sajith Premadasa who the people wanted. Or even if it was not Sajith Premadasa, they wanted a more marketable person than Ranil Wickramasinghe at the time. Thereafter, and
now Ranil Wickramasinghe is good.
No, I'm not saying Ranil Wickramasinghe is good. Don't get me wrong here. What I'm saying is, Ranil Wickramasinghe took a very, very bad situation and he made it a bit better. That's it.
So he made sure that the phoenix rose above the ashes and stood strong and took the country out of the crisis that we were in.
For that moment.
Not anymore.
I mean,
who did you vote at the last presidential? You don't have to answer that.
I mean,
no, you don't have to answer.
No, of course, I voted for my candidate. I will happily answer.
Of course. Swasthika, yes, getting back into...
no, just, we said that we should not waste time doing postmortems, but in the start of the interview, you said people are forgetful in this country. And that's precisely why we should do postmortems and remind people what politicians like the Rajapaksas, like the Ranil Wickramasinghe did to this country. Because if we don't do postmortems, then we would be repeating the mistakes. We would allow people to forget. And that is our job also, to not allow people to forget as to why we came into this crisis. And that is why I think it's important to do a postmortem and remind people why we are in this state of crisis, because otherwise we won't be able to move forward.
In postmortem you can find the reason, but you can't give life back to the
No,
body.
but we have to do postmortem. That's what I'm telling you.
Right, okay. So, Charitha, let's talk about the policies of the SLPP now. Yes, let's start from you. Because we need to find ways to see what you all have in under your sleeves right now, going for a general election. What are the policies that people should look at? Why must they vote the SLPP?
So the SLPP, we put a very comprehensive policy forward, vision, normal vision. I think if anyone reads it, if anyone goes through it, you'll see what our policies are. Our main, if you take it as to tell it shortly, it's about bringing the country forward in terms of technology, right? Taking the economy cashless, right? And you could say developing. We had specific targets, economic growth targets, but I don't think people should be looking at our policies right now.
Why mustn't they look at your policy?
They should look at the current government's policies.
They should vote, but not look at the policy.
We haven't got the mandate, no, right?
But if they are to vote for you, they must look at your policies.
Of course, yeah.
But now, shouldn't they look at your policies, or should they look at your policies?
They should definitely.
Right. So if they look at your policies, what is there in your policies?
Yeah. So we have presented our policy. Anyone can look at it. If you go to normal2024.com, you can download it. You can read it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is there.
So to be very honest, John, if we can read it, we won't invite people like you to talk about it and discuss.
Okay.
So tell us, what are the salient features of this policy framework?
Yeah.
So for the people to understand. Now you said about digitizing the country's economy, making the country in terms of cashless, in terms of all that.
Yeah.
So what is the framework in which it's going to be done?
Yeah. So it is under the IMF framework, right? So
you all are believing that the IMF, you all have to go to the IMF.
No, the IMF has given us a program. No? So we're following that program.
Yeah, but
so but the plan has been made according to that program.
Right. So you're saying that you have to go to the IMF.
We have gone to the IMF and we have to follow through. We can't go back on it. We can't renegotiate it. We have to go forward now.
I am asking you, are you saying that we have to go with the IMF?
Yes.
Because you can withdraw from the IMF program.
We have to go with the IMF.
Right, you have to go with the IMF. If that's the case, why did the cabinet in 2021 decide not to go to the IMF?
That was before, no? That was before.
Yeah, so
now the IMF has given us a program.
No, but in
that 2021,
in 2021, Namal Rajapaksa was also was the Minister of Digitization and Minister of Sports.
Can I phrase the question another way? Yeah. We know that in 2019, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was elected president, the country was in an IMF program already.
Okay.
Same type of program that we're in now. It's called the Extended Fund Facility, and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa decided, soon after coming into power, one of the two big policy decisions that he took, one was cutting taxes including VAT. And reasoning behind that, you can always argue, his reasoning was that it would spur economic growth. The other one was to withdraw from the IMF program. You said that the fertilizer decision was a blunder. Yeah. Do you believe that the decision to withdraw from the IMF and to reduce taxes was also a blunder?
No, because we had a mandate. It was in our policy, and we are following, the people gave us a mandate, and we had to follow that. So that's what we did.
So what was the mandate given to the then government in 2022 January to pay the 500 million sovereign bondholders?
I don't understand.
So in 2022, when Sri Lanka was scraping the barrel for US dollars, in October, November, December, most of the business community was saying, don't pay the 500 million US dollars, the last 500 million US dollars that we had, because we saw how Ali Sabri came and told the media after he was appointed the Minister of Finance that we had only 20 million US dollars. What was the decision that led to pay that 500 million US dollars to bondholders in January?
What happens if you don't pay it?
So same format, but we just did declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, so we didn't want to declare bankruptcy. We went to India. We got a facility of 4.6 billion to keep continuing what we were doing.
4.6 billion? 2.7 billion?
4.6.
2.7 billion.
4.6 billion. That's what was used by President Ranil afterwards to stabilize the country. He didn't bring anything new. That was the money that Basil Rajapaksa's finance minister went and brought for the country. We had a plan. We don't think that we willingly did this to the country, where we came and just, paid all of the money.
So then why did Gotabaya Rajapaksa went on to appoint Nandalal Veerasinghe as the central bank governor if Ajit Niwal Kabral was doing such a good job?
So that you had to ask from him.
So, but you all were in government.
You had to ask the president. The
president. But you all were in government. If I can interview Gotabaya Rajapaksa every single time there's a problem in the country, we won't have people like you on the show. So I'm asking you all were in government.
Yes. So we took a decision to appoint a new governor. So what is the problem?
Because that governor was bad.
For whatever reason, I don't know the reason. You have to ask the president why he decided. Maybe it was pressure. Maybe it was the Aragale. Maybe it was foreign forces. I don't know. He hasn't told me.
Maybe it was that $500 million which was paid at the wrong time.
But if we had the money, why was there 13 power cuts in the country, John?
So we had to, what do you call it, go for a quota system, like the QR code, everything is the same thing. There was enough.
So, but Uday Gamapila said that in February.
So why did he say that? Yeah. Why did he say that and create panic? Why
he created panic?
Of course he did. People started stockpiling things.
There was didn't have water and fuel to generate power. And we didn't have money to import fuel.
So he was the public price.
Yeah, I was the commission. I was the
global prices went up for oil, right? So the amount of currency that we had to use to purchase oil went up, right? So that is what caused this shortage. But
what is the assurance?
The government had bought enough adequate stock.
John, what is the assurance we have? What is the assurance we have that in the event Namal Rajapaksa is appointed as the Prime Minister? I know he's not your Prime Minister candidate yet, but if he's appointed through a mandate as the Prime Minister of the country, we won't slide back to what we experienced in 2019.
That's a very tricky question, because then we'll have a president who has a mandate from the NPP, and we have a Prime Minister who has a mandate from the SLPP.
You all don't want to be in that.
What mandate is then?
So you all don't want to be in the situation, right?
What do you mean?
But you all want to be in the opposition. There are many other countries in the world where you have two parties in power, just like that.
Yes. And it works.
Yes,
it works.
Okay.
So why can't it work here?
It can work.
Are you saying that our political leaders are too juvenile to come to such an agreement?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Because if you are pulling, now look at Ranil and Sirasa government. What happened with two leaders? What happened to the country in the end? We had a bombing here. Our country went to chaos. The only time our country has done well is when one leader has taken over with power and guided the country forward.
So
when we look at our history, we see that.
So John, better if you all don't contest at all, give
that's up to the people. Shamir, you can't come and tell me that.
No, but you're saying you're defeated already, no? You are mentioning now, you are coming, when I'm saying hypothetically.
I'm going by the votes people have given. So I'm talking about.
You don't
we have defeated. People have given us 360,000
So then you will only get
you
will only get 1 or 2 seats in parliament.
What's the problem?
That's okay.
What's the problem with that? If you get 1 seat or 2 seats or no seats, that's up to the people. We will continue our work. We will stick to our principles and we will move forward.
So you all have accepted defeat already?
In another 5 years, right?
So because Janaka with only 2,500,
it's not about defeat, it's about representing your people.
That he can come as a force to reckon with at the election.
Let me talk, Shabira. You want to keep talking.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Say, right?
Yeah, but you are responding.
People have voted for us too. So we have to go and follow what they are saying.
Okay,
if they want us to be in parliament, we'll be in parliament. If they want us to be at home, we'll be at home. That's up to the people. We can't dictate to the people who do this and do that. They have to vote for us. And with their vote only, we can do whatever we...
So, can I ask you this question?
At one point,
Johann, we know that...
The SLPP at one point, which was one of the biggest political forces in the country, shrinking down to 300,000 votes. If you do a post-mortem, what would it be?
So, our current president only had 3% 5 years ago. He's the president now. People will vote when they...
But he never had 6.9 million votes.
He doesn't have 6.9 even now. He has 5.6, he has 42%. He doesn't have the mandate that we had.
But guess what? He's the president of the country.
Yeah. So things can happen. Anything can happen. Even at this parliamentary election, anything can happen.
So Charitha, in your opinion?
In my opinion, if I may discuss, talk about what John said earlier. Now, people are willing to actually vote for the candidate. I mean, it doesn't matter how much Mr. Ratnayake or the SLPP has gotten during the presidential election, or even our party, UNFF. I think the political situation has come in this country. It has come to a situation where if any party, what I'm saying is any party puts the right candidate, I think that candidate should be represented in parliament. If the person you are voting for, if you think the person you are voting for...
But Charitha, the electoral system we have in our country doesn't work like that, right? You have to pick your party first and then you pick your candidate.
Well, I agree with you there. You have to pick your party first, you have to pick your candidate. But that is why, as a minority party, as a small party, what we go to all the villages and what we say is, if you have a family of 5, you can vote for whatever party. You all vote for whatever party. Now the trend is to vote for the NPP. You know, I mean, everyone is voting for the NPP, you know, as if there is no tomorrow. That is what people want to do. Spare one vote. I'm not saying that
I'm
vote
quite surprised that you're saying that when the NPP was only able to get 42% of the vote.
58%.
But I mean, now, with what they have done between what they're going,
I mean,
even in
2019, after Gotabaya Rajapaksa got offered, the general election had to be delayed because of COVID. But in 2019, after Gotabaya Rajapaksa won with 6.9 million votes, with 52 I think, 53 point something, I can't remember the exact number. They didn't, I mean, the other parties didn't stop campaigning for the general election. They went on a campaign and they campaigned hard, but it seems that y'all are being quite...
No,
while faced with the, I won't say red swastika, I'll say purple wave, while faced with the purple wave, y'all are staring at it, waiting, and you're saying, what a tsunami, but is it actually a tsunami? It's 42%.
No, what I'm saying is, Nadeem, from the time President Anura Kumara became president, and up to the date of the general election, there are certain things the NPP has promised the people that hasn't been delivered. Certain things. You know, reducing the price of petrol, you know, the egg prices going down for 2 days and going back up. You know, I mean, those are... I mean, I'm not going to throw any shade on those things. I mean, they need to get their things to act together. So I don't want to criticize that as yet. Okay, but from the time they started, from the time President Anura Kumara became president, up to date, I mean, there were certain things in the political. There were certain differences we noticed in the political. Scene. For example, I mean, when they won, I'm talking about, you know, I'm not talking about national policy, I'm just talking about how the NPP behaved. We have to appreciate that.
Cosmetics.
cosmetically.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, do people have started appreciating that, Nadeem? That is what we must appreciate here.
No, I really don't understand.
I really don't understand. Are you campaigning for the...
Are you campaigning for the compass?
No, I'm campaigning for a change. And that is what I want to show here is I want a change in the whole political system where people start voting for.
Right. So, Charitha,
but in order for that to happen, like I pointed out, the current electoral system, you can't do that.
You can't do
You'll have to change the electoral system. Then.
No, Charitha, you spoke very eloquently about the NPP, how they did not have any cosmetics after the elections. Now, we saw Dr. Harshadi Silva recently having a press conference and saying, tell us whether the NPP, which spoke about the DSA, the debt sustainability analysis, that has to be negotiated, whether they were even able to reduce 1 rupee or 1 penny from that.
Well, I mean, Shamir,
this is what they were campaigning, right, Charitha? They said that they will renegotiate the DSA.
Selfies with the IMF team.
Who got through?
Selfies, they got selfies. The professors who participated from NPP side.
I, of course, didn't see that.
You didn't see that? No, I can share with you that.
No. So what I'm trying to say is, I mean, at the beginning, okay, when they started, they were not flamboyant when it came to how they, after getting presidency, they were not flamboyant with how they acted. I'm giving you an example. But now, today I heard, I have actually got a photograph. I have seen some stamps. Have you heard of the stamps?
No, I have not. Bird Postal Day, yeah?
Some postal stamps. World Postal Day. I mean, I'm not saying they are, huge. I mean, they will create a huge loss for the country. But I'm wondering, will this change after the election? I'm not an advocate for the NPP, like you're trying to suggest to me, Shamir. I'm not. The good things I want to appreciate. I want to be that a politician who would appreciate the good. You condemn the bad.
The beacon of hope.
And I mean,
but you don't appreciate these stamps.
The stamps, of course. I mean,
no, I would
not
say
even 2 weeks, but you're having your face on your stamp. What is this?
It's too early to judge.
Yeah.
But if they are going to,
but if you look at what has happened in this short 2-3 weeks, right? A few things we notice. The Prime Minister, right? She's a appointee from the national list. She came in, there was a scholarship paper leak question mark problem. She put a gazette out. I don't think in our history, after winning a presidential election in the first week, have we had a protest at the presidential secretariat. We had that. AKD, our president, with his experience, he quickly reversed it, right? Then from there, what have we seen happening? Right, we saw President Janaka go and visit the book show. Right, people expecting him to go in his double cab or in his jeep or whatever with the small security that he had, but no, he came with the STF guard in his bulletproof BMW, running through the crowd, shoving people aside with 50 cameras around him. Right, people were not expecting that. They were expecting more like the Netherlands Prime Minister who goes to Parliament in his cycle.
When you saw Janaka doing that. Did you remember in 2019 what Gotabaya Rajapaksa did at Benning?
No, I thought I was laughing because what a hypocrite.
He's doing the same thing, no?
Is AKD. After saying all these things, isn't he a hypocrite?
Both of them.
How is Gotabaya a hypocrite? Gotabaya did what he did, but AKD is a real hypocrite, right? He's a Marxist, he's a socialist, right? But his policies are not that, right?
Not according to Swasthika.
Yeah.
He has never claimed himself to be a Marxist, to be fair on him. Like he has never, in his platforms, he has never said I'm a Marxist. So I mean, other people might want to say everything which is going wrong in the country is because AKD is Marxist. But that's not what he has been saying.
No, what we are saying is we are worried because he is a Marxist. We are worried. But if he is not,
that's what I'm saying. You should not imagine facts. He has never claimed himself to be a Marxist.
Then going after that, what has he done? He has withdrawn security from all the opposition members, right? Self-defense firearms have been withdrawn, right? Isn't this like a political vendetta? Isn't it a form of intimidation? When the opposition people's firearms and self-defense, everything is being withdrawn, right? Isn't it a more like a authoritarian move? So, I mean, there's time. we'll give them time.
You just said, John, in your earlier remarks, that you want them to have a clear majority in parliament.
No, I'm saying whoever, I'm not saying them, I'm saying whoever governs this country should govern it with power and with majority. So not right with a weak mandate.
Yeah, but right now, Andrew Kumar Dissanayake is the president of the country.
Yes.
So the alternative is to have another political party heading the post of prime minister.
Okay.
So are you for that or are you not for that?
That's what the people will decide. No, if the people have decided that, we'll have to work with that.
Okay. Swasthika, just to understand the policies of your political party, many are saying that when they look at the People's Struggle Alliance, you all bear the hallmark of the frontline Socialist Party, and you all look like the JVP in a different form. It's like a old wine in a new bottle. What do you have to
I can just say one thing. The JVP never had a position, or rather it had a very nationalist and I would say a very racist position on the minority question. The People's Struggle Alliance has a very progressive position on the national question. We have put forward a policy of power sharing between the centre and the regions, very, very extensive power sharing. And also we have spoken very clearly in our manifesto about war crimes, accountability, justice and so on, which the old JVP will not do. So therefore, to say that we are the old JVP, that's not correct comparison, because we have clearly, particularly on this issue of minority issues and so on. In terms of the economic question, we have not shied away from the fact that we are left. We have taken forward very left and progressive economic policies. We have said the IMF is not the solution to the crisis. In fact, if we stick to the IMF program, we are going to go into another default, which even the right-wing economists are saying now. And we have also said that we need a radical relook of how we are restructuring the debt, which NPP said before the election. They said alternative DSA, but I did not quite understand that, because NPP was also in parliament when they passed the economic transformation bill, which essentially lays out the IMF conditions, making those IMF conditions as law. So I did not understand how they were going to do an alternate DSA, and I was questioning that at that time. And as expected, now they're not doing an alternate DSA, they're going with the Ranil Wickremesinghe's package. So we said, we are going to go in, we will go into a default if we go with this debt restructuring package. There are other countries which have actually gotten substantial debt cut, which our government is not getting. And
so do you agree with, based on what you just said regarding the going along with the previous DSA and not changing it, do you then agree with Johann's comments about this is hypocritical on the part of the MP?
Johann's comment was, I mean, it was, he was talking about vehicles and he was talking about the president having security. I mean, in this country, there has been assassination attempts.
But I'm saying, because the thing is, there is a theme.
I just want to say, I don't, if you want to criticize Andhra Kumara Dissanayake, there are substantial reasons as to why.
But there is a theme, there appears to be a theme of hypocrisy there, right? We spoke about this earlier when it comes, you mentioned minority issues, when it comes to their stance vis-a-vis the 13th Amendment. There have been hypocritical statements. When it comes to the stance vis-a-vis security entourages and vehicles, there have been hypocritical statements. Now, with regard to the debt sustainability agreement, debt sustainability analysis, there have been seemingly hypocritical statements. Is there what I'm asking you is, do you agree that there is a concerning trend of hypocrisy within this NPP administration?
I would not frame it as hypocrisy. Rather, I think in a rush to get to power, they promised too many people too many things, and that was never sustainable. You can't promise the left and the right together. There is a reason why it's left and right, and that is what the NPP tried to do, and now we are seeing the implications of that. And we should, I mean, I understand why people keep saying we need to support the government, because we are in a state of crisis, and if we do not have a stable government, then, you know, there are other things also we have to take into consideration. But when the government does not know what it's doing, when it's agreeing to a debt restructuring plan which is going to take us to a debt default, then how are we saying we are going to support that government? So I don't, when NPP is making a blunder which Ranil Wickremesinghe had, you know, started off, and they are continuing with it, then I don't understand why people are saying we should, you know, support the government. What are we supporting on? To go into another
Swasthika, just to understand now, just to understand your party's position, you all are saying that you all have to withdraw from the IMF, right?
We have to withdraw from the current we have to withdraw from the current IMF program.
Okay.
Yes.
So
because
in
we
the
believe
event
that
you all
it's not,
withdraw, what is your alternative?
So we have suggested a few things. One is we want to look into alternative financing, which was never explored into by Gotabaya Rajapaksa or Ranil Wickremesinghe. There are alternative financing opportunities across the world. Like for instance, bilateral loans and so on, which we were relying on.
But you say that we didn't explore it, but Gotabaya Rajapaksa did explore it with India, with China.
No.
There was no. I mean, they cast. I think it's unfair to say that I mean, it's unfair by even the previous administration to say that there was no attempts at bilateral cooperation because they cast a lot of lines. The fish weren't biting, unfortunately.
The issue with the previous governments, and I think it's very true to date, even with this government, is that they try to do too many secret deals. So we don't know actually what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know what they're talking with India to date. We don't know what they're talking with China. They don't trust the people to have a informed opinion on certain things.
So Swasthika,
so I think that would have happened.
I mean, the thing is, because you're asking about bilateral partnerships, we do know that. I mean, sometimes even if the requirement for secrecy might come from the other side.
Can I just also say one thing about the IMF? You know, as I said,
no, I don't want to lionize the IMF, right? The IMF has done plenty of bad things in the past
but
as well.
I'm saying about this country.
Because you mentioned alternative financing, what I'm asking is, what is the alternative financing that is out there? You mentioned bilateral, let's say government-to-government agreements. And then you said that it wasn't explored fully. I'm saying it was explored and there were no fish biting.
I'm saying we did not know how it was explored because those details was not shared with us.
Yeah, but Swasthika, the problem is with the political party that you represent. You all have a vision. There is no question about that.
There's no problem with our political party.
No, the issue. I'll tell you the issue now. If you look at bilateral loans, you have to look at a lot of other aspects. I think Janaka would agree. You have to look at the rating agencies, how they have rated Sri Lanka. If the ratings are bad, then you won't get a bilateral loan. You don't even get a multilateral loan for that matter. So for your ratings to be good, not even ISPs. So your
even at 8%.
Yeah. So your ratings have to be good. So now what the IMF has done, if you all didn't know, is the fact that the ratings have gone up because there is confidence in the market that the IMF is engaged with the Sri Lankan debt restructuring process. As such, they are okay to get their money back or repaid. Now we saw these rhetorics by Surin Handunati saying we can just not pay and all that. Those are all have to be taken with a pinch of salt. But your political party has misunderstood the importance of IMF.
Can I just say about the rating agencies? As I repeatedly saying this from the beginning of the program, next year the IMF program is going to come to an end without us having a single solution to the debt crisis.
No, do you know how much money we have right now?
Let me finish this, right?
I think a lot of miscommunication.
Even right-wing economists are now saying the IMF doesn't look like the solution. Even right-wing economists, right? So when we go into another default, the rating agencies are going to downgrade us again. So are we going to go back to
say that?
So Swasthika, again,
we are going to
thing, right?
Mark my word, I am telling you, we will go into a default. If we continue with the same economic trajectory,
2028.
we would go into another default if we continue with this economic trajectory. There are people who warned us in 2007.
So just to understand, let's break this down so we can understand what Swasthika is trying to say as well, right? Because Swasthika, we've had economists.
There are so many other people also saying the same thing, so it's not
we've
just
had economists on this show.
Yes.
We've had economists on this show, like individuals like Murtaza Jafarji. We've had people, Nishan Dimel, all of them are from think tanks, economic think tanks. So they've always said, if you don't go to the IMF, the problem is our ratings won't do well. And when our ratings are not doing well,
then we go for... later on write an article and say the IMF is now becoming a problem.
No.
So how is it possible?
My question is very simple.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say what you're saying is true. Okay.
It is true.
Just take 2 years. Let's rewind. Let's do a postmortem. Now you would say a postmortem is important. Yes. Okay. Right. Tell me, how would you all have done things differently?
We would not have gone to the IMF as
So
the first
who's
option.
going to then
We would
who's
have-
going to
that is
pay the
what I'm
ISP
saying.
holders?
That is what I'm saying. We
Who's
don't
going to
know.
pay the ISP holders?
No, that is what I'm saying. We can't.
Who's
we didn't
going to
have,
pay? Who's going to pay?
Yes.
That 5.8 billion US dollars that was due in 2022. Who's going to pay that?
One thing I would have said, we would have defaulted far earlier than what Gota did. Fine, that is also post-mortem. Let's say now we did everything wrong and we are in a state of bankruptcy. What I said, we should have looked at alternative finance option, and I do not believe that the government put a serious thought to it. They just directly went to the
but
that
Swasthika,
is
we
what
have
the
to
Ranil
agree.
Wickremesinghe
The
government did.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration was very close to India. They were very close to China. China turned a complete blind eye
We don't
towards Sri
know
Lanka.
that. We don't
no, we
know
know
that.
that. That
No,
was
we don't.
reported. We saw exactly
We don't
what was
know.
going
And the
on.
reason why we don't know
Swasthika,
that, and this is what I'm repeating, right? The reason why we don't know that is because Ranil Wickremesinghe regime, the Gotabaya Rajapaksa regime, and even the NPP regime, they don't how much do we know of how much India is getting involved in our country? We don't know that. And that is a serious concern for
But
countries
this is the
like
thing
us.
with
Why aren't you all
bilateral
concerned
agreements.
about it?
This is the thing with bilateral, because you said the alternative was bilateral.
No, I'm saying, why aren't you concerned about the fact?
No, I'm
that
very
we don't-
concerned.
we
I'm
don't-
very concerned about the
the only
transparency, but I
solution
think you
The only
also need to
solution
know
is
that
the
the
only
transparency
solution
is not a one-way street, right? Because it's not like the Indian government or the Chinese government are going to want the Sri Lankan government to disclose all the details of the discussions that they're having. Because I think it seems to me that
We should, in the interest of us.
you're imagining bona fides on the part of these international partners.
I'm not
and
imagining
no one
bona
gives you
fides.
free money.
No, I'm not imagining bona fides, but what I'm saying is the IMF, the issue with the IMF loan. And
There are issues with the IMF.
we
We
have
know
to
the
discuss
ratings
that.
agencies are also. We know that ratings
problematic.
agencies have been known to be corrupt in the past
Yes.
as well. We saw in 2008.
So why are we talking about
in the
rating
this thing? So forget about the rating.
Exactly.
I'm asking the alternatives that you
So that
spoke
is
about.
what I'm saying.
But
I
your
think
alternative-
it's
not the
alternative
answer.
to
That
get
should
this
be-
That is
through.
exactly what I'm
Alternative
saying.
should be to make
I am-
income.
Right. So
Yes,
let's,
that also, but
okay.
that's
Well,
much later.
what about? Do you have to add it to that, Janaka?
Now see, if anybody is opposing IMF, I think they are making a huge mistake. Now see, I do not know who predict that there will be a default next year, because
No, I didn't say next year. But
yeah.
okay.
Now
Talking about
see, we
2028.
have time until 2028 to come out with a plan. Now see, if you think that you are going to survive only with this IMF or any other loans that they have taken 200 million and they are trying to get the credit, with photos and all those things, those I know, just to bluff people. You have 3
Just
years.
selfies.
Yes, now see, 200 million dollars have been coming, on and off from World Bank. Even during the crisis period, they didn't stop. And we have been paying as well. If you do not know, we have been paying World Bank, IMF and Asian Development Bank right throughout without deifalting. Those are
You can't default because
you can't default. Basically,
multilateral loan you have to pay.
Although you don't pay ISB and bilaterals, other debts you have to pay. Now, if somebody says that you have alternative the sources to get funds, I think alternative funds are not available because we are a bankrupt and a defaulted country. What we need to do is we have another 3-4 years to make sure. I think not only one IMF. I think we need to ask for another IMF package with maybe a lesser conditions. Now say conditions are imposed not by IMF, these are self-imposed conditions. Right. Now say for example, when I was the PCSS chairman, IMF came to me twice and said that you have raised the rates, the tariff. I said no. When you justify to them, now see the conditions, now say to impose our taxes, impose our levies, increase our VAT is our own decision. They say that you need to make revenues. So we go, the officials go and say that this is what we are going to do.
Right.
And so therefore, what we need is within next 2-3 years to find a way to generate income.
Right. So I want to give a minute each for each speaker as to way forward for Sri Lanka. It could be your party policies, it could be a manifesto that you all want to promote, or even to rebut a point that was spoken before by a speaker. But do not bring in new arguments so we don't go into another tussle between each other. So let's start off with you, Charitha.
So Samir, what I have to tell our voters and the voters of this country is absolute power corrupts, absolute power absolutely corrupts. Simple as that. So now the NPP is asking for 2/3 majority, and I heard someone say that they wanted a 5-6. I mean, that is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know even if they have fully thought of that statement before asking it. Considering 2/3 being a very difficult task to achieve. Therefore, I think the political dynamic in this country has completely changed within the past 2.5 years after the revolution. Therefore, I feel the people are ready to vote for new people, and in the new parliament you will see next month, you would see a whole lot of new faces, and I am very confident that the people in this country would make a change towards a positive change to get younger, more educated and different thinking people from what we have had for the past 70 years.
Right. Thank you very much, Charitha. John.
So to the people I would say, you have elected a new president with a lot of hope, and they have come in with various promises and various statements, but I think you're little by little you're getting disillusioned and realizing what reality is. At the end of the day, you have to govern, right? They came and said there are no security, no vehicles, but they are doing that, of course. That's what we have been saying all along. When you are governing this country, you have to do it in a specific way. You can't do it like the way they claim. So they have gone through this Goebbels theory, the big lie, repeating it over and over and over again for the last 10, 15 years, right? And people have swallowed this big lie, right? And now it's their chance to deliver. And let's see what happens. We'll give them time. But I just want to end up by saying those who rise to power with lies will be defeated by the truth.
Right. Thank you very much, John. Swasthika.
I think we have to reopen the debt renegotiation with the international creditors and go back into bargaining, because otherwise we're going to go through crisis one after the other, or cycles of crisis, and we can't afford another default. We have to look at the accountability process, whether it be for the North and the East or whether it be for the Easter Sunday victims, because without accountability, we cannot move forward as a country together with minorities, with the majority community and so on. So we have to seriously look at the accountability process, and we have to seriously look at the national question. In terms of our foreign policy, we have to look at how much in India is intruding into our, whether it be the economy, whether it be the politics. It must be a serious concern for us. So if we are to become the next government, we would prioritize these three things and change policies and the direction which the current government is going. Thank you.
Right. Janaka.
Yeah. I think I need to correct something. Now say, Arunalu Jatika Peramuna started not with my 2,500 votes, and there were two candidates. The leader of the party, Dr. Krisanthan, got more than 15,000. We are starting with almost 18,000 votes. Now 18,000 votes to secure 7 to 8 parliamentary seats all around the country is a possibility, because now the voter perception has been changed, and we do not find any voters who are probably confined to a particular party or a color. And therefore, I urge the people, now see, I believe that the present president should have at least simple majority, or the best would be that give them 110 and give me 5 to 6. So we will show the country how the country can be governed to benefit the people.
That's it, Janaka. Right. Thank you very much, Janaka Ratnayake from the Arunalu Janata Peramuna. He's a co-chairman and the Colombo district leader. Swasthika Arulingam, Colombo district candidate from the People's Struggle Alliance. John Fernando, SLPP Youth Front, as well as Charitha Gunaratne, Youth Coordinator of the United National Freedom Front. Thank you very much, gentlemen and the lady, for joining us this evening on the show. Thank you very much, Newsfirst Thambi, Consultant Director at Newsfirst, as well as Nadeem Majid for joining us this evening on the show. May the best win, and I look forward to seeing at least all of you in the next parliament, so you all can make that change that you all were envisaging, and let the people be the ultimate decider as to whether or not they want you in or out of parliament. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Go to the polling booth on the 14th of November and vote for the person who you think is going to take you through to the next 5 years. Take care and good night.